Right, sorry about that. That was RE Central deciding to crash on me at the worst possible time. Sorry about that, guys, but managed to get the problem sorted out. But anyway, guys, welcome back to the live stream after that break. It is now time for the feature race for IFMC GP2, and we have 26 laps of action here for the feature race, and hopefully it will be a good race as well. If you didn't see what happened in qualifying yesterday, Macamo surprisingly locking out the front row with Lynn taking pole ahead of his less experienced teammate Santiago Urrutia, who managed to grab second place. The two Macamos locking out the front row, and they're looking to hopefully get a victory here today if they can. But they've got some competition behind in the form of Felix Rosenqvist and, of course, the man who's here just for this weekend for Ecademy, Artem Markelov. So there we are, to hold them off for 26 laps of action, including a mandatory pit stop. So hopefully we're in for an exciting race. So as you can see, we're all set to go. So before we start then, guys, let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for today's feature race here at Spa. Here we go then. So on pole position, it is Lynn with Santiago Urrutia in second place. It is Felix Rosenqvist in third with Artem Markelov in fourth position. Dan Tickton will start in fifth alongside him. Joel Eriksson is in sixth position. Seventh place goes to Pierre Gasly with George Russell in eighth. Yuri Vips starts ninth with Lance Stroll in 10th position. Lando Norris starts in 11th alongside him, his fellow compatriot Jolyon Palmer. He starts in 12th position. Sasha Fenestras starts 13th. Sergey Sirotkin in the EMR is struggling 14th. Nobuharu Matsushita 15th. Nick De Vries in 16th position. Norman Nato starts 17th with Mitch Evans in 18th position. 19th is Luca, his teammate. Both Vortex is struggling. Luca Ghiotto all the way down in 20th, the winner of the sprint race back at Donington. And on the back row of the grid, it's Louis Razier, and due to his qualifying ban, Sean Goliath is in 22nd and last. And that is the grid for the feature race here at Belgium. So there is the grid then, guys, for the feature race here at Belgium. And the weather, let's have a look. It is bright and sunny, no chance of rain for this race. So leave your predictions, but without further ado, let's get to the feature race here at Belgium. So here we are then on the grid then. It's Lynn on the right of your screens. It's Urrutia on the left. Who's going to get the lead into turn one as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off to signify the start of the feature race here at Spa-Francorchamps. No rain expected for this race, so we're hoping for a good race. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on. And it is going for the feature race here at Spa-Francorchamps as everybody seems to try and get away well. Down towards the first corner we go, down towards La Source, who's going to get a good start onto the front row. Can't quite get there yet. Here we go, down towards turn 1. Keep an eye on that RSPCA racing car, Dan Tickton. Down towards turn 1 we go. It looks like that Urrutia's got a better start than Lynn. Tickton's had a good start to get up into second place there. Who's going to lead? Coming out of turn 1 now then as Tickton trying to get his way through. Everybody seems to get through the first corner safely. And it's Urrutia, Santiago Urrutia, who finds himself leading the race. Tickton splitting the two Macamos as they come out of Eau Rouge. A good start from Markelov as they go up towards Eau Rouge corner. Some side-by-side action going on down towards Eau Rouge. But looks like De Vries at the back out of that one. But everybody has got through okay. It seems already. People are already starting to separate as we come down the straight now. Urrutia under attack from Dan Tickton and his teammate as meantime Rosenqvist having an attack on Markelov behind at the moment as they come down towards the Coombe. Tickton looking to the inside of Urrutia. Can the Brit get the lead from Urrutia? Down the inside he goes, and he does. Dan Tickton leads here in Belgium. He takes the lead off Urrutia, and Tickton now finds himself leading the race. Rosenqvist takes fourth from Markelov into that corner now then. These two used to be teammates in IFMC GP3 last season. Now they're both driving for different teams as they come down towards turn 8 now then. A lot of movements going on. It's not been a good start from Gasly. He's lost 2 places at the start, dropping down to 9th place. Palmer getting himself into the top 10 as they come down towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9, as they head down towards P1. Urrutia is still sticking with Tickton. He's going to look to the inside to P1, but Tickton shutting the door into that first part then. Lynn getting closer now to his teammate as they come down towards the right setting left-hander towards the end of Sector 2. Lynn trying to fancy his attack. Urrutia going quite defensive because he can feel the pressure of teammate Lynn right behind him now then as I go through the left-hander now then up towards the double right-hander. We will go now then. Rosenqvist still having to keep back Markelov. He's still keeping with him at this stage, but it looks like he seems to have got better traction coming out of that corner. Lynn, meantime, stuck over the back of Urrutia and ticked him as they will be approaching the bus-stop chicane for the first time today. Urrutia looking to the inside and ticked him, but ticked him able to hang it around the outside and keep all the place. Lynn looking for any opportunities, isn't able to make the move stick as they come up now towards the bus-stop chicane now. Down the inside goes Santiago. Urrutia, will he get the place of Dan? Ticked him into the bus-stop. Down the inside he goes, and he does. Urrutia retakes the lead from Ticktum into the chicane, and now second place is closed up now as it seems that Ticktum's holding up a train. We've got a yellow flag, and the chicane does a spinner. It's one of the Lopez Racing Development cars. It's Joel Eriksson that's got involved. What has happened? Did he make contact with George Russell by any chance, or did somebody else make contact with him? Let's have a look then. So Russell was initially having to go at Eriksson, and then Gasly tried to have a look at Blanchard. Let's say Russell looking to the inside of Joel Eriksson. Let's see, was there any contact between the pair of them as we ride on board into the chicane? And oh, there was there, but I wouldn't really blame Russell for that one. It just looked like that. Well, Russell was ahead. It just looked like Eriksson didn't back off, so that will have to be investigated as now there's a bit of a traffic jam forming at the bus stop as Eriksson tries to get the car going, and well, he seems to have got his wheel lodged in with one of the GRMs. I believe that is Lance Stroll. He's got his wheel lodged in there as everybody's just trying to feed their way through. They've managed to untangle themselves together, but it's cost Stroll and Eriksson a lot of time, it seems, and Stroll having to wait for Eriksson. Eriksson, well, nearly crushing it out there as he struggled to get the steering lock in there. Lance Stroll also touching the barrier there, but able to get the car going. But they've now dropped to the back of the pack. Meantime, Lynn has taken second for Ticktum. Lynn has taken second. I think we've missed it. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Rosenqvist and Ticktum. So lucky there that they didn't end each other's race as Rosenqvist finds himself in RSP. No, in fact, that's you. Yeah. No, it isn't. Yes, it is an RSPCA sandwich as now Vips is up to 5th place. Unseen by the cameras, he's taken Markelov, so he's up into 5th place. And now Rosenqvist finds himself in RSPCA Racing sandwich. Unseen by the cameras, I think Lynn must have got him into the source. So now it's yet again a Macamo 1-2 with Urrutia leading from Lynn in 2nd place. Ticktum holding back a few cars, including Rosenqvist, his teammate Vips, and Markelov, who are trying to take 3rd from the young bitters. Meantime, Vips tried to have a look, but Rosenqvist has got a run on Ticktum as Markelov looks back down the inside of Vips, down inside into Lacombe, and Rosenqvist takes 3rd from Ticktum. Up into 3rd place he goes as Markelov retakes 5th from Vips. So back up to 5th place goes Artem Markelov. And now Markelov finds himself in an RSPCA Racing sandwich. As you can see now, Ticktum still piling the pressure on Rosenqvist. Rosenqvist having to go defensive into turn 8 and able to keep hold of the place there. As a result of that contact, he has put Russell and Gasly up a few places. So up into 7th and 8th they go. They find themselves into the points. Palmer's still trying to get hold of him there as the rest of the pack try and catch up after being caught up in that traffic jam a little earlier on. As Eriksson and Stroll try and make their way up through the field. As now they go up towards turns 12. And 13 on the track now. Then, as meantime, Ticktum still sticking with Rosenqvist. Ticktum has some good pace around here at Spa. It seems that both RSPCA racing cars seem to be suited to this track. As now up towards the double right-hander, we will go Ticktum all over the backside of Felix Rosenqvist now. Then through the right-hander, as now using quite a lot of curb on the outside. Through the right-hander we go, as we will now go down towards Blanchimont now, then Ticktum looking to the inside of Felix Rosenqvist. Will he try and get the move done? Is this cause Vips looks to the inside again on Markelov. Rosenqvist shuts the door, and Markelov shutting the door on Vips there. Through Blanchimont they go. Ticktum piling the pressure now on Felix Rosenqvist. Will he try and get him into the bus stop? Down the inside goes Ticktum on Felix Rosenqvist. Will he get third back off the Swede? Down the inside, oh, so close to contact, but just about avoiding each other. And Rosenqvist just able to hold on, and Markelov just able to hold off Vips. And now Russell closes up to the backside of the Estonian, along with Gasly and Palmer as well. So a load of trains forming up as they go down towards the source to start lap 3 of 26 now then. As now Vips looks to the inside of Markelov. Will he get the move done? This time into the source. Down the inside goes Yuri Vips. Has he got the place? And yes, he has, up to 5th place. And now Russell trying to take advantage as well. And he takes 2 for the price of 1. And there's Yuri. And Markelov's got a problem. Artem Markelov has got an electrical problem. He's dropping backwards. What a shame. He did so well in qualifying in his one-off appearance this weekend for Ecademy, replacing Mick Schumacher. And he's got an electrical problem. What a shame for the young Russian. And Markelov unless he can get it back to the pit. Might have his race over with. We'll have to wait and see if he can get it back to the pits, unless it will be too terminal by the time he will get back to the pits. But problems for Artem Markelov. Vips moves up into 5th, Russell up to 6th, Gasly up to 7th, and Palmer now finds himself into the points. He's all over the backside of Gasly, trying to find a way through for 7th place on the Frenchman. Isn't able to make the move stick. Gasly defending the inside into Luca, as Markelov just continuously going backwards due to this electrical problem. What a shame for the young Russian, and it's too terminal. That's race over for Artem Markelov, and Artem Markelov is out of the feature race here at Belgium, and we're down to 21 runners. And well, what a shame for Markelov. A great qualifying session from him yesterday, and it's all come to nothing. Markelov out, and we're down to 21 runners as a result. And well, first weekend in the GP2 car, and well, it looked all so good for the young Russian, but as mentioned, all come to nothing in the end. Markelov out, and we're down to 21 runners as a result. Meantime, Urrutia is still leading. He's got a big gap now in front of teammate Alex Lynn. Rosenqvist trying to close over to Lynn if he can. Now he's got a gap between himself and Dan Ticktum. Vips now having to fend off from championship leader George Russell if he can, as Gasly still having to fend off from Palmer now. Then as they come up towards Blanchimont now, then Russell looking to the inside of Vips. Will he get the move done? No, not quite. Palmer having a look at Gasly behind. And oh, in fact, he's got the move done. That's a brilliant move from Jolyon Palmer. Up into 7th place he goes at Blanchimont. Meantime, Russell down the inside of Vips. Will Russell get 5th from the IFMC Racing car? And he does. Up into 5th place goes George Russell. And now Vips is in the clutches of Palmer and Gasly as they come out of the final few corners on the track. Next target for Russell is Vips' teammate Dan Ticktum as they come down the pit straight now then, as we're now on lap 4 of 26 now here at Belgium. As now Palmer going a bit defensive. He can still feel the pressure from Pierre Gasly right behind him now. Then as they go through the source, and wow, Palmer feeling the pressure a little bit as he tries to close up onto Vips if he can. De Vries trying to close up in the background, and the GRM as they come down the support pit straight up towards Eau Rouge we will go. Now then for the 4th time today, none of them close enough to make an attack up into that corner, but it looks like Palmer's going to run coming out of Eau Rouge, and looks to put an attack on Vips down in towards Luca if he can, to try and grab 6th from the young Estonian, as now they come down the straight towards Luca. Now then Palmer looking to the inside of Yuri Vips. Can he get the move done on the Estonian? Down the inside he goes, and he didn't even need to wait for the straight that time around. Up into 6th place goes Jolyon Palmer, and that's P6 for Jolyon as a result. Vips trying to keep up with him if he can, but it's not paying off at the moment. Now Gasly trying to close him on Vips if he can, try and pull the pressure on the Estonian as now they come through the left-handed added on the track. Meantime, the 2 Macamo cars still leading this race at the moment, and in terms of mandatory pit stops, I expect them to come around about, I want to say around about lap 12 to 18. We will see the mandatory pit stops come into effect for these guys, as now Urrutia coming up towards the end of Sector 2, and he continues to have a decent gap out in front at the moment. So meantime, Palmer still having to defend from Vips. Vips still keeping up with him at this stage. Gasly looking for any opportunity to pounce upon if he can in towards the double right hand we go. Meantime, Russell starting to close in now on fellow compatriot Dan Ticktum, but still not close enough to be within slipstream range. As out goes Sacha Fenestraz. Fenestraz is out of the race. What has happened to the young Frenchman? Where is Sacha on the track? And whereabouts is he? I think we've kind of missed him, I think, unless he's somewhere on the track. He's there. He's down there. So we'll have to try and catch somebody if they can. Who was behind Fenestraz? That's the question. He's pulled off down at turn 12. So let's see if we can catch on to him this time around. Let's see as we ride on board with Fenestraz in towards that right-hander. And oh, he spun off. He's lost it on. He's lost control of the car and has smashed it into the wall. And that is Fenestraz's race done with in the barriers. Sacha Fenestraz out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners as a result. A rookie error there from Sacha, it must be said, and possibly binning any chance of maybe using some points today. But Sacha out, and we're down to 20 runners as a result. So already 2 retirements, Artem Markelov and Sacha Fenestraz. Now Vips looks to the inside of Palmer at Blanchimont. Palmer able to hang in around the outside and keep hold of the place. Again, Gasly looking for any opportunity he can to pounce upon this battle now as we come up towards the bus stop. Will Vips try and get the move done on Palmer into the chicane? He doesn't look close enough to make a pass. Maybe he's going to try and get a run on him down onto the pit straight perhaps, and maybe see if he can get him into the source. But again, it looks like coming out of this corner, he's not close enough to Palmer. It looks like now Palmer is starting to pull away now from the Estonian, unless the Estonian can get some extreme slipstream throughout these straights that we're on now then. As now Gasly starts to reel in on Vips as a result, as they come out of the source, heading down the support pit straight now then, up towards Urrutia will go. And Palmer, yeah, he's started to now pull away. So next target for him will be George Russell, who is slowly gaining on to Dan Ticktum. So 3 Brits looking like they're going to be fighting it out for 4th place, it seems. Rosenqvist slowly closing on to Lynn, but still not within slipstream range of the Brit as of yet. Looking to try and see if he can ruin any chance of a Macamo 1-2 today if he can, as they go through Lacombe now then. Through the right-hander will go Felix Rosenqvist, as they now come up towards turns 8 and 9 we will go. So through turn 8 goes Felix, as now up towards the corner with no name. Through turn 9 goes the Swede, as he uses a lot of curb on the outside, and he has got a job next season in terms of the top class. Well, in fact, he will be moving to Eldorado next season as a test driver after 2 seasons, or 2 to 3 seasons, being Bud Light Line Motorsports test driver. He's going to be the Eldorado test driver next season. So he'll be hoping that this gives him a boost to hopefully get him into the top class in the future. So now through the double right-hander will go Felix Rosenqvist, as meantime Russell continuing to close in now on Dan Ticktum, the championship leader, looking at any opportunity to pounce on his teammate now then, as he goes through the right-hander now then. Down the straight we go then towards Blanchimont, and Russell looking at any opportunity to pounce on Dan Ticktum if he can, as they all come around Blanchimont now then. Round the left-hander we go then, up towards the bus stop chicane we will go. And now in towards the bus stop now then, as you see Russell closing in on the braking there, as now down the inside goes Gasly on Vips. Will he get 7th from the Estonian into the chicane? No, not quite. Vips able to hang it around the outside and keep on the 7th, and now it's brought Nick de Vries into play and trying to see if he can grab the final points place off the Frenchman. As now we come down the pit straight towards La Source. Will de Vries get the move done on Gasly if he can, as they come up towards turn 1 now then. Through turn 1 we go, and no, not close enough that time around. Gasly trying to close back in onto Vips if he can, as Razia finds himself into the top 10, so a decent place after what has been a tricky season for the Brazilian, it must be said. As meantime, down the inside goes Lando Norris on Masashita. We haven't seen much of Norris. He got caught up in that traffic jam at the bus stop, and obviously had a tricky qualifying session, but he gets up into 13th place, passing Masashita, as Norris tries to find his way back through the field. Meantime, teammate Nato is trying to close in onto Ghiotto if he can. Ghiotto's had a good start from 20th, but Nato trying to reel him in for 15th if he can. And meantime, Goliath now finds himself at the back of the pack, so Stroll and Ericsson have been making gains. Goliath finds himself now down in 20th place. As meantime, Russell was taken 4th from Ticktum. It must have been down at Lacombe, and yes, it was at Lacombe. Russell up into 4th place. He gets the move done on Dan Ticktum, so up into P4 goes championship leader George Russell, and now he's going to try and reel in onto teammate Felix Rosenqvist if he can for the final podium place, as now Palmer tries to reel in onto Dan Ticktum if he can. Vips has got a bit of a gap now between himself and Gasly. Gasly busy trying to fend off the GRM of Nick de Vries as he goes through turn 8 and in towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9, flicking the car in and using quite a bit of curb on the outside there. Then as I go through the double left-hander, meantime Ticktum still sticking with fellow compatriot Russell, trying to see if he can grab back 4th from the championship leader as they go through turns 12 and 13 on the track. And Ticktum really trying to not make life too easy for Russell if he can, trying to give him a little bit of a challenge as they go around the right-hander. Ticktum trying to stick within the slipstream of his fellow compatriot now then, or one of his few compatriots that are in the race. Down the straight we go then, up towards Blanchimont. Looks like Ticktum's not going to go for the move here. He's going to try and see if he can line him up into the bus stop and try and retake 4th from him if he can. Through in towards Blanchimont we go then, round the left-hander. The sparks coming off the back of Russell's car. Ticktum tucked up. He's going to look to the inside. Will Ticktum retake 4th from the championship leader into the bus stop? No, not quite. Russell just able to hang it around the outside and keep on a 4th. And now he's pulled a gap, and now Palmer finds himself right on the back of Ticktum as a result. Ticktum now having to worry about Palmer all over him now then. Meantime, Gasly still busy fending off from de Vries as Vips now continues to pull away from him as a result. As we head down the pit straight, as out goes Lando Norris, one of the championship contenders. Lando Norris is out of the race, and there he is, and it is a transmission problem from the young Brit. Lando Norris is out of the race. His disappointing weekend continues. Lando Norris out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners as a result. And well, that's that then for Lando Norris's race, and now it's going to that possibly means he's going to lose more time to the Drivers' Championship battle, which he was having with Russell and Rosenqvist. And now he looks like he's going to drop even further back as a result. Now that he's out of the race, Rosenqvist and Russell are going to pull away more from Norris as a result. As meantime, now Palmer right in the slipstream of Vips. Can he try and grab 5th place? From Tictum. Can he get 5th place from his fellow compatriot as he comes down the Kemmel Straight? Palmer looking to the inside of Tictum. Will Palmer get the move done now? Then as I go down towards the Coombe, and again didn't even need to wait for the corner, and up into 5th place goes Jolyon. Palmer gets the move done on Tictum. Up into P5 goes Palmer as a result. Meantime, Gasly looks like he's pulling, well, he's still keeping back De Vries. There's still a little bit of a gap between him and De Vries at this stage. Razia is even slowly starting to close in onto that battle for 8th, looking to see if he can try and make it a double points finish for Willows Grand Prix if he can, and finally get some points on the board to his championship account this season. As now Urrutia continuing to extend his lead in front. Lynn, his teammate, just hasn't got an answer for him at this stage. As now we go through the left-hander now on the track. Rosenqvist trying everything he can to close in on Lynn in front as they just come around the double right-hander on the track. Rosenqvist trying everything he can to reel him in as they just come out of the corner now. Then up towards Blanchimont we will go now then. And Rosenqvist we'll have a look and see what the gap is like in a little bit between Lynn and Rosenqvist, depending on if there's not that much of a battle happening behind. While I say that, De Vries now looking to the inside of Gasly. Would he get 8th from the Frenchman going through towards Blanchimont? And no, he can't. Gasly able to hold him off and keep hold of 8th place for the moment. And we'll have a quick look if he can. And we'll see if De Vries has been able to pass Gasly or not in a little bit. Because I actually want to see what the gap is like between 2nd and 3rd to make some sort of judgment. Coming out of the source now then. And the gap, let's have a look. Coming down the hill is 2 seconds exactly between the pair of them. Has De Vries got the place? And yes, he has. Up into 8th place goes De Vries. He must have got him at the bus stop chicane. So up into P8 goes Nick De Vries. Gasly now finding himself outside the points. It's very clear that Gasly just not suited to this Spa-Francorchamps circuit at all this weekend, after what had been an amazing weekend after picking up a victory in the feature race at Donington 3 weeks ago. Goliath still bringing up the rear at this stage. Meantime, now De Vries' next target will be Yuri Vips in the RSPCA racing car as they come down the Kemmel Straight. And as you can see, Razia is slowly starting to close in onto Gasly for P9, so he looks to make some advances if he can. Up towards Lacombe we will go now then. And so through the right and left hander we go. Razia making huge gains so far after not qualifying particularly well for this weekend. As he comes out of Lacombe now then, up towards turn 8 he will go. And then up towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. And slowly starting to close in onto Gasly at this stage, coming through turn 9, using quite a lot of curb on the outside now then, as he will now approach Pouon now then. Still got a little bit to try and close up onto Gasly, but he's pushing hard to try and see if he could do that at this stage. Meantime, now that things have started to separate themselves at this stage of the race, let's try and keep an eye on whether Rosenqvist is gaining onto Lynn. Last time we checked, last lap around, the gap between Lynn and Rosenqvist was around 2 seconds. Let's see if Rosenqvist has been able to gain on that since the last time we checked. So meantime, Urrutia has started lap 9 of 26 here in the feature race, and it does look like Rosenqvist is starting to close in onto Lynn, but let's see what the gap is like this time around as both of them come out of the bus stop chicane heading down the pit straight. The gap between 2nd and 3rd now then as I come down towards La Source. Let's have a look now then. Through turn 1 we go, using all the tarmac as possible coming out of that corner, and the gap between them is now 1.7 seconds. That's what it looks between the pair of them. So Rosenqvist has taken 3 tenths out of Lynn's lead there, so he is continuing to gain onto Lynn in front and looks to try and split the two Macamos and ruin any possibility of the team getting a 1-2 in this race. Russell doing everything he can to try and close up on his teammate and nearest contender in the Drivers' Championship, it must be said, as the sparks come out the back of Rosenqvist's car through towards Lacombe. We go now then, as he will now go around the right-hander on the track. A lot of curve being used on the outside before approaching turn number 8 now then. Around the turn 8 we go, and now he will approach the corner with no name, which is turn 9, as he continues to try and close up onto Lynn through into the corner then he goes. As meantime, Gasly still keeping up with De Vries, and Razia is still closing in on Gasly at this stage as they go through turn 8 at the moment. Razia looking to see if he can try and grab 9th place from the Frenchman as they now go around the corner with no name, turn 9. As now out of that corner we go, using a lot of curb on the outside there then, as Sirotkin starts to close in on Euro in front at the moment. Things have started to separate themselves just a little bit. It's like everybody's trying to work towards their pit stop now, apart from Rosenqvist, who's still closing in onto Lynn. Let's see if he's able to gain a little bit more on this lap now. And then as I come around Blanchimont, through the left we go, and then into the second part of Blanchimont. Both these corners are flat for all 3 categories. And let's see as they all come up towards the bus stop chicane. Let's see what the gap is like this time around between Rosenqvist and Lynn. It does look closer than what it did last lap around. Coming down the pit straight, and what is the gap now between Lynn and Rosenqvist? I'll be surprised if Lynn has actually increased the gap. I doubt it. I think Rosenqvist is starting to gain onto him as they come around the source, as we're on lap 10 of 26, so including this lap, 17 laps remaining in this feature race, I believe, and the gap is now down to 2 seconds. Well, in fact, it's up to 2 seconds, so I am actually surprised. It looked like that Lynn might have got some more traction coming out of the bus stop, because it did look closer, but it seemed that Rosenqvist's exit was a little bit dull, it must be said, because Lynn has now managed to pull those 3 attempts back on Rosenqvist. It's now back up to 2 seconds between each other. As Russell looking on in the background to see if he can pounce upon any mistakes in front if he can. As now it looks like Razia is just struggling to close on to Gasly, and maybe he's working towards his mandatory pit stop at this stage because he's still not within slipstream range of the Frenchman. Meantime, as you can see, De Vries is starting to close in onto Vips for 7th place, not second, as they come around the Coombe. And having saying that, it seems that Razzie has just been able to tug into Gasly's slipstream and he's managed to catch back up to him, but he's still not within the amount that he needs to try and pull an overtake on the Frenchman. Of course, no DRS in this series, of course, as a bit of a lock-up there from Razzie, showing he's pushing hard to gain Gasly in this race as they come out of turn 8 now, then up towards the corner with no name through turn 9. As meantime, De Vries, can he try and get Vips in front now then as I go through P1? Out of the corners we go, heading down towards turns 12 and 13 on the track, and trying to see if he can break that a little bit later than the Estonian through the left, then through the right, then through the left, using a lot of curb on the outside in towards the double right-hand as we will go, and it looks like De Vries getting more traction and seems to be better on the brakes compared to the young Estonian in front, as now we will come up towards Blanchimont now then for the 10th time today, as I believe Urrutia is about to start lap 11 of the race now. Then we'll quickly have a look and see if Rosenqvist has been able to pull that gap back, as we have 16 laps remaining, and around about one more lap's time we should see the mandatory pit stops begin, or maybe in around a couple of laps. We'll wait and see. 1 to 2 laps we should see the mandatory pit stops come into effect. It's down to 1.9 seconds, so Rosenqvist only gained by a 10th there, only caught up by a 10th on Lynn, so not really much gained as a result there then, as De Vries still not close enough there. Maybe he's trying to see if he can get a run on Vips, possibly down at the Kemmel Straight. That's possibly realistically where we can go. Razzie's still not close enough to get Gasly at this stage as they now come up towards Eau Rouge. And it does look like, again, Vips seems to have more traction than De Vries coming out of the source. And again, De Vries not able to be within slipstream range of the Estonian, as now we come up towards Lacombe. And Tictum looking quite lonely in 6th, Vips' teammate, as he looks to try and get some points for RSPCA Racing in the bag. Same with Vips, both of them in a points paying position, but Vips having to do a little bit of work because he's under pressure from a few cars behind. So that's that really. It's again, it looks like, it seems that Razzie's strength is possibly in Sector 1, and it seems that in the rest of the course, Gasly is just able to pull away again. So it seems that Sector 1 is where Razzie is stronger at than Gasly. But the last 2 sectors, Gasly's able to get his number again. So that's probably why. As out goes Sergey Sirotkin. Sirotkin out of the race. What has happened to Sirotkin? And there it is. It's another transmission problem. That is the second transmission problem we've seen this weekend. Sirotkin out of the race, and we're down to 18 runners. As a result, EMR's miserable season continues in GP2, and they just wonder, will he actually get back to some form? Of course, Ghiotto won the sprint race at Donington 3 weeks ago, but it seems to have gone back to reality for them. Sirotkin out of the race, and we're down to 18 runners as a result. And the second transmission problem we've seen during this race now then, as they come out of Puan before they approach the right and left-handers of turns 12 and 13. So through we go into these corners. Out the corner now then, out of the left-hander. As I look to see, as De Vries is now right all over the backside of Vips. He seems to get within slipstream. He's looking to see if he can possibly get him into the bus stop chicane and maybe even Blanchimon. If he's lucky enough, he's going to look to the inside into Blanchimon. Will De Vries get the move done on Yuri Vips? No, not quite. Vips just shutting the door there through the first part of Blanchimon. In towards the second part now then, as we come up towards the bus stop chicane. Down the inside goes Nick De Vries. Will he get the move done on Yuri Vips into the bus stop chicane? No, not quite. Vips just able to hang it around the outside and keep on the place. And now as a result of the awkward turning there from De Vries, it's put in prey to Gasly. And now Razzie. Will Gasly try and get the points place back off the teenage Dutchman now then, as they come down towards La Source now then. De Vries feeling the pressure as they come down towards turn 1 now then. Gasly all over the rear end of him at this stage. It seems that Vips is also starting to drop back into this battle again, so it looks now we've got a 4-way scrap for 7th place going on between Vips, De Vries, Gasly and Razzie now then, as we go up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. But it just seems that all of them don't seem to be within slipstream range of anyone at the moment coming out of the corner now then, unless Gasly's able to keep within slipstream of De Vries. In fact, Razzie seems to be getting more than what Gasly is on De Vries. In fact, Razzie looking to the inside of Gasly. Will he get the move done on Pierre now then? This is preventing Pierre from making a pass on De Vries, and he takes the place. Razzie didn't even need to wait for the corner, maybe because of assistance from Nick De Vries there, but up into 9th place goes Louis Razzie, and well, Gasly down to 10th as a result. Now Razzie trying to see if he can get De Vries if he can, but Gasly still sticking with Razzie as they come up towards turn 8. Razzie goes defensive. Gasly doesn't think about diving it down the inside, keeping it safe now then as I go around turn 8, and Razzie up into 9th place. And considering this man has been struggling, it seems this track seems to be suited to the Brazilian in terms of race pace. That is qualifying still not there no matter what track he gets to, as now Gasly again looking to the inside into Puan, but Razzie is shutting the door into that corner as De Vries now tries to close back in onto Vips if he can for 7th place. Up towards turns 12 we go. Gasly trying to have a look, but again Razzie defending the inside through turn 12, preventing him from moving out. In fact, Gasly's pitting this lap, as is De Vries, and I think a few others will be pitting as well, as Russell has closed right in onto Rosenqvist. Rosenqvist has dropped back some more onto Lynn, as into the pits comes race leader Santiago Urrutia, and Russell not close enough to make a pass on Rosenqvist that time around. It leaves his teammate to leave the race, but Urrutia, the first man into the pits. The mandatory pit stops are underway at the halfway stage of the race, as now Urrutia wiping his visor there, putting on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. Where is Urrutia going to rejoin then after the pit stop? It's an 11.3 second stop for Santiago Urrutia. As into the pits comes one of the RSPCA racing cars. I think it's Vips. Yes, it is Vips, and De Vries is also joining as well, as is Gasly. Razzie choosing to stay out. It seems that maybe Gasly repassed Razzie somewhere on the track. Either that or that's just because of the pit lane entrance, I don't know. But Gasly, Vips and De Vries, all three are in the pits. Urrutia has finished his pit stop, and I wouldn't be surprised if he came out in clear traffic, but we'll wait and see on that, as they put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel for all three of these guys. 11.2 for De Vries, got slightly held up there by Masushita, who just came into the pits there. I believe it's Masushita, as De Vries has leapfrogged Vips, and he's having to wait for Gasly, I think, as well. So Vips has lost 2 places in the pit lane, and Gasly and De Vries gain. De Vries now finds himself up to 7th, and Gasly looks like, unless Razzie is able to leapfrog Vips as well, will get up into the points playing positions, unless that will be Razzie who will take that as well, as De Vries rejoins 14th, Gasly 15th, and Vips 17th. There's a car between himself and Gasly, and it's Sean Galisle who's pitting at the end of this lap, and it looks like he's going to try and attack Gasly if he can. So it was Masushita who is in the pits for Etihad Racing. He's come out in last place because there's only 18 cars now left in the races. Alex Lynn will be pitting at the end of this lap, as Rosenqvist is pitting. His teammate is going to stay out. Russell's trying to see if he can jump his teammate if he can for that final podium place, as it seemed that Rosenqvist has started to drop back some more from Lynn, to the point where he's now in the clutches of teammate George Russell. As now up towards Blanchimon we will go now then, and we'll be seeing Lynn go straight on into the pits, as they come out of Blanchimont now then. And through we go, and we'll see him go straight on now then. And there we go now then. Into the pits comes Alex Lynn, and we'll soon be seeing Rosenqvist joining him as well. He's going to go straight on. Russell will take the lead temporarily. Lynn now then into the pits for his mandatory pit stop. Also in is Felix Rosenqvist. So let's see how quick the stop's going to be from the Macamo mechanics and even the Red Bull Academy mechanics with Felix Rosenqvist as they put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. As mentioned, George Russell temporarily now leading the race. And let's see where Lynn is going to be joined. I think Urrutia should be out in front of him. He had a big enough lead as it is. And yes, there is Urrutia just coming around La Source. And he's back in front of Lynn as a result. As Palmer's in front of him. But the top two are pitting this lap. So Urrutia should get the lead back as a result. As Lynn rejoins in 4th place. Still in front of Rosenqvist. Looked like Rosenqvist had to wait a little bit. So Lynn rejoins in 4th. Rosenqvist rejoins in 5th. And might have a bit of traffic in front in the form of Louis Razzi, who's staying out for at least another lap. So that could help Russell get the jump on teammate Rosenqvist. I think Russell is expected to pit this lap anyway. Tictum has come into the pits, and he rejoins in 8th place behind Luca Ghiotto. So rejoining 8th goes the Umbrit. Lucas Schur has finished his pit stop for Vortex Racing. Nato has as well, as has Joel Eriksson at the moment, and Sean Glyle's in as he's Lance Stroll. So a lot of those guys looking to get leapfrogged in the pits. As we know, the top two temporarily, Russell and Palmer are scheduled to pit, and Palmer looking to see if he can try and close in onto Russell after the pit stops if he can. Joel Eriksson has just made his pit stop, as has Lance Stroll, and we also saw Norman Nato into the pits as well, as Russell now then coming up towards turns 12 and 13 on the track now then. Through the corners now then we go, as now he uses quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the double right-hander on the track. Out the corner we go now, then heading towards the next right-hander on the track. And of course we'll be seeing Russell dive into the pits very soon now then, as he comes up towards Blanchimont. Same with Palmer as well, so Urrutia should get the lead back, and it will be yet again a Macamo 1-2. But will Russell do enough to leapfrog Felix Rosenqvist for a final podium place at sea? Into the pits comes championship leader George Russell, as he now puts on the pit limiter, and he'll be coming in for a fresh set of tyres and fuel. And there are the Red Bull Academy guys waiting for him in pit lane as he pulls into his box. Let's see how quick the stop's going to be then for George Russell as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. A quick wipe of the visor there from the Red Bull Academy mechanics, as Urrutia finds himself back in the lead. Lynn should get back up to second, so it'll be yet again a Macamo 1-2. But where is Rosenqvist on the track? That's the question for Russell. As there is Rosenqvist. He's just coming around turn 1. It's going to be quite close, but I think maybe Rosenqvist maybe will just have the edge, or will... Yes, Rosenqvist just has the edge, so Rosenqvist stays in front of Russell. Palmer finishes off his stop. He's still behind the two Red Bull Academy cars, so he's still got a bit to do. So if Russell wants the podium, he's going to have to try and chase his teammate on track. Razia stays out, but he's scheduled to make a pit stop anyway, as he looks to try and leapfrog the likes of Vips, Gasly and De Vries for 7th place if he can, for 2 championship points. As meantime, it's yet again a Macamo 1-2. Urrutia finds himself back in the lead of the race. And meantime, a few others in. Ghiotto's came in. It said somebody else had been in as well. And so that's that. Tictum finds himself back into the points. Vip's now outside the points, I would presume, because both Gasly and De Vries leapfrogged him in the pits because he had to wait to avoid contact or side-by-side action because of the system Grand Prix 3 has when it comes to people in the pits. So Ghiotto 14th there then, as Evans and Eriksson and Stroll go up towards Rouge Galile 18th. Here comes as Santiago Urrutia continues to pull away out in front, and unless anything goes wrong, he's looking comfortable to get his first IFMC GP2 victory. Macamo's, I think, if I'm correct, their 3rd GP2 victory of their career. I might be wrong on that, but I think it will be their 3rd GP2 victory as a team, and the first under the name of Panasonic Macamo Motorsport. As Rosenqvist is closing into Razia, but he shouldn't worry about him too much anyway. I'm sure he's been told that Razia is pitting at the end of this lap anyway, so he should only really focus on teammate Russell, as it looks like that Rosenqvist just hasn't got the pace of the two Macamo cars in front at the moment. Urrutia and Lynn looking strong for a 1-2 finish here at Belgium, unless something goes wrong with either one of them. at this stage. As we'll see, Razia go straight on into the pits. And there you go then, into the pits comes Louis Razia. Now remember, he was in a battle with Vips, Gasly and De Vries. De Vries and Gasly have both leapfrogged Vips. De Vries in front of that battle, but where is Razia going to be joined out of that battle now then, as he pits for a fresh set of tyres and fuel, as his mandatory pit stop begins now then. As we now have 11 laps remaining in this feature race. Where is Razia going to rejoin? Can he try and make it a double points finish for Willows Grand Prix if he can? It is a 10.3 second stop for the Brazilian as through goes Tictum. That was not Razia's worry. It's these guys here. De Vries is coming up towards turn 1 now. I think De Vries might actually, in fact, it could be quite close as going around the pit exit there. De Vries looks like he's got the edge on Razia, but Razia has jumped both Gasly and Vip. So Razia into the points and up into 8th place now. Then so Razia has stayed in front of Gasly and crucially jumped in front of Vips, and he's up into 8th place, and he's now just within touching distance of Nick De Vries. So it looks like those two are going to be fighting it out for 7th as Gasly and Vips have now dropped off from this battle. At the same time, the pair are then looking to see if they can try and close in onto Dan Tictum in front, who's currently in 6th place. And meantime, Luca Ghiotto is starting to close up onto Yuri Vips to try and get himself into the top 10, and even Nato's starting to gain up as well. I think everybody has now finished off their mandatory pit stops, as it looks like Palmer's trying to close him on the 2 Red Bull Academy cars, so we could even have a freeway scrap for 3rd place, but it looks like, in fact, Rosenqvist is starting to pull away again from Russell, so it looks like on this stint, Rosenqvist just seems to be a tad bit better than what Russell is at the moment, but he's still got a little bit he's still got some time to gain if he wants to try and split the 2 Macamos and get 2nd place in this race to try and close in a little bit more to Russell in the Drivers' Championship. As coming out of the right-hander then goes Rosenqvist. As here is Santiago Urrutia. He's now coming up towards the bus stop chicane as he continues to dominate the race out in front, as he will now start lap 17 of 26. So including the lap he's about to start, we will have 10 laps to go in this feature race now then. As we come down towards La Source now then, Urrutia on lap 17 of 26 here in the feature race as he just comes out of turn 1 now then. Here's Rosenqvist, still trying to close in onto Lynn if he can. And let's quickly see what the gap is like between him and Lynn. It will also show the gap between himself and teammate Russell behind as they come out of turn 1. It's 4.6 seconds between Lynn and Rosenqvist, 1.3 between the 2 teammates at this stage. Palmer is 2.1 seconds back from Russell as he tries to close in and try and grab 4 from the championship leader and his fellow compatriot in this race. Meantime, Razia now all over the backside of De Vries, looking to try and grab 7th place from the young Dutchman as they come out of La Source now. Then Razia looking at a chance of trying to get 2 championship points off the Dutchman as they come down the support pit straight now, then up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. Through we go now then, through Eau Rouge, out of the corner now then. Will Razia try and get the run on De Vries if he can as they come down the Camel Straight now then. Down the Camel Straight we go. Razia tucked up into De Vries' slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Will Razia get the move done on Nick De Vries? And again, didn't even need to wait for the straight. Up into 7th place goes Louis Razia. Just shows that fresher tyres clearly has a lot more confidence coming out of the corner, but still De Vries still sticking with him, looking to see if he can possibly dive it down the inside into turn 8. Isn't going to work out there, and even Razia didn't even think about defending it towards turn number 8 as a result, as they come around the corner with no name, which is turn 9. De Vries still sticking with him, looking to see if he can try and grab 7th place. In the slipstream he goes. He's going to look to the inside to pull on. Will he try and retake 7th from Razia? No, not quite. Razia shutting the door there into the first part of Le Pouon, as now up towards turns 12 and 13, which is approaching the end of sector 2 now then. De Vries looking to see if he can get the move done on Razia if he can, coming out of the left-hander and up towards the double right we will go. Looks like De Vries maybe starting to drop back a bit now from Razia, as now through the right-hander we will go, and now up through towards the up towards Blanchimont now then we will go, and now through towards the left-hander, and so in towards these next section of corners, and so now up towards the bus stop chicane, and so through the bus stop chicane we go, and it is very clear that Razzie is now starting to pull away. Gasly now with a big gap in front of Vips as he now tries to hunt down De Vries again. Looks like Vips is going to have to worry a little bit about Luca Ghiotto in this race, so a chance for a double points finish from RSPCA Racing is now possibly gone down the toilet now, but a chance for a points paying position, maybe not, because Ticktum looking very lonely in 6th, and if he could just be able to keep up this pace and hold off maybe Razzie, who may be starting to gain on him as he's now leaving De Vries for dust, he could look good perhaps for 3 championship points or even a points paying finish. Even if Razzie passes him, Ticktum will still be in the points, but it's still quite a lot to try and hold off on. He's got 9 laps in which to try and keep hold of this place as he goes through Lacombe now then. As meantime, 3rd, 4th and 5th still separated. Rosenqvist so far showing not many signs of closing in onto 2nd place Alex Lynn at the moment as he goes through the double left-hander of Pouon. And now coming out the corner towards turns 12 and 13 we will go. So through the corner now, he's got a yellow flag, and it's Lynn! Lynn has spun! So commentators curse there. Alex Lynn has spun and possibly wrecked any chance of the team getting a 1-2 finish. And there you go, he just lost it. Coming through turn 12, he's so lucky to keep it out of the wall. But the chance of a 1-2 finish from Macamo has gone down the toilet. Rosenqvist up to 2nd, Russell up to 3rd. So double podium for Red Bull Academy it seems. But Lynn's chances of a brilliant finish have gone down the drain. Lynn rejoins in 5th place, and now Ticktum fancies his chances perhaps of trying to get 4 championship points in the bag. So Lynn coming out of the kitty litter in 5th place as a result. But that's that really, and well, a 1-2 finish has gone down the drain from Macamo, and wow, Urrutia now with a very big gap it seems at the front, with Rosenqvist only just coming up towards the start finish line, as possibly Urrutia is pretty much near the bottom of the support pit straight heading up towards Eau Rouge. So the gap between the top 2 now then as a result, as we've got 8 laps remaining, is 10.8 seconds. That's what the gap between the top 2 looks like. Unless something happens to Urrutia, I think it's looking good for the Uruguay driver to take his first ever IFMC GP2 victory in his career, after what has been so far a tricky season for Urrutia, it must be said. Lynn, though, probably kicking himself in the cockpit that he's cost himself a chance of ensuring the team gets a 1-2 finish. So unfortunate for the Brit after what has been a strong weekend for him. And, well, that's that. In terms of what the sprint race grid will look like, this is what it will look like so far. It will be De Vries that will start on pole position, with Razzie in 2nd, Ticktum will be 3rd, Lynn 4th, Palmer 5th, Russell 6th, with Rosenqvist 7th, and of course Urrutia in 8th position. And in terms of the rest of the field, what it will look like below, Gasly will start in 9th, Vips in 10th, Ura 11th, Nato 12th, Ghiotto 13th, Matsushita 14th, Evans 15th, Ericsson 16th, Stroll 17th, Galile 18th, and of course we need to include the retirements as well, which are Sirotkin, trying to figure the rest here. Trying to figure the rest of the field at the moment. Sirotkin. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm very forgetful it seems. Let's have a jolt around to see if we can get any clues on who the other retirements have been. Oh yeah, of course. The 19th will be Sirotkin, 20th Norris, 21st will be Fenestraz, and 22nd will be Markelov. That's what the grid currently will look like for the sprint race, unless some changes happen within the closing stages of this feature race. As we have 7 laps remaining in this race, we are 9 minutes away from the 3 o'clock mark, so we are just under 40 minutes away from race 1 of IFMC GP3. And which of course will see championship leader for that series, Joseph Newgarden on the pole ahead of rival Ferdinand Hasberg, and then Joseph's teammate Will Power locking out the top 3. So a chance for a 1-2 finish yet again for Dacia Eldorado look to be on the cards, as long as Power can try and get the jump on Newgarden's rival Hasberg, because that will definitely help out Newgarden in his Drivers' Championship campaign, as he's currently leading it at the moment by a few points ahead of Ferdinand Hasberg. But that's for later on, whereas currently in GP2, where Urrutia continues to dominate out in front of this stage and become the first Uruguay driver to win in IFMC GP2 and in IFMC as a whole, it must be said. As up through Eau Rouge goes Dan Ticktum, as Razzie starts to close them in now for P6. So it looks like we've got a scrap on our hands for P6, it must be said, as Alex Lynn now starts to pull away from those guys behind him as he tries to salvage what he can of these 4 championship points that he's currently holding on to after spinning it at turn 12, costing Macamo a chance of a 1-2 finish. As we go through Lacombe now then, Razzie trying everything he can to get within the slipstream of Dan Ticktum in this race. Gasly just seems to be struggling with this track so far. It seems that this weekend this track just hasn't folded into place for him, and he'll be hoping that the sprint race tomorrow he can try and gain if he can. So he just comes out of turn 8 and up towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. Vips looks like now he's starting to get away from Euro. Euro just hasn't got the pace to match Vips at the moment. It looks like Nato is in fact starting to close in on the Austrian, as is Luca Ghiotto as well. Masashita having to fend off from Mitch Evans, so these two look to be scrapping it out for 14th place. Vortex this season, just like with their rivals from last season, East Midlands Racing, just appear to be struggling this season. It seems that both East Midlands Racing and Vortex Racing just seem to be struggling this season. It seems that other drivers have improved, and or new talent has come in and they've just not been able to keep themselves at the front of the field. At the moment, the gap between the top twos, we have 6 laps remaining in this feature race, is now 10.2 seconds. Urrutia keeping that gap stable between himself and Rosenqvist. Rosenqvist just hasn't got the pace of the race leader out in front, as he now pulls a gap between himself and Russell has enough of a gap in front of Palmer at this stage. Meantime, is Razia within the slipstream of Tictum yet? It doesn't look like it at the moment, but maybe he could try and get a run out of Rouge like he's done many times this race, and try and see if he can get him down the Kemmel Straight, where at the moment it seems that both Willows Grand Prix drivers seem to have been able to set themselves, seems to have got a setup in place where they've been able to do well down the straights, because they've not, so far with most of their overtakes, not even had to wait for the corner. It seems they've just seen that their car seems to be set up quite nicely for the straight line speeds here, especially down the Kemmel Straight, which we're on now then. So Razia trying everything he can to close in onto Tictum. He's in his slipstream at the moment, but will he get close enough to make a pass? I don't think he will, but as you can see, Tictum having to go very defensive, because now he can feel the pressure of the Brazilian as they come around Lacombe now then. So we've got a battle for 6th place emerging as we come around Lacombe now then. Razia looking to try and see if he can pick off 6th place from Dan Tictum now then, as we come around turn 8 now then on the track. So through the corner we go now then, heading in towards the corner with no name, which is turn 9. Heading out the corner before approaching Pouon, and De Vries in the background looking at any opportunity to pounce upon in this battle, trying to see if he can close himself back in if he can. Through in towards Pouon then we go, as we will now go up towards turns 12 and 13 on the track. So around the left and then into, the right and then in towards the left, the turns 12 and 13 out of the second sector now. Then Razia maybe looking to possibly try and get him into the bus stop chicane, maybe not even waiting to try and get him onto the Kemmel Straight now then. Through the right hander we go now then. Will Razia get the move done now then on Yuri Vips as he looks to the inside? Will Razia get the move? Dan Tictum, will he get the move done? And just like Palmer did earlier, that is a beautiful pass from Razia round Blanchimont, and up into 6th place goes Louis Razia, and Tictum down into 7th place. So up into P6 goes Louis Razia, finding his feet, it seems, after what has been a tricky start of the season for the Brazilian, and now finds himself up into 6th. Tictum still trying to stick with him if he can, maybe try and see if he can dive it down into La Source if he can, but he doesn't seem to be close enough, and Razia keeps hold of 6th place for the moment in this race now then, as they come out of La Source. And now in towards these next section of corners we go on the track as we come up towards Urrutia. Now Tictum is starting to drop back from Razia. Razia looked like he had more traction than Tictum coming out of the source, as now De Vries looks to see if he can try and gain onto Tictum if he can. But at the moment it seems that De Vries and Tictum will be on the front row for tomorrow's sprint race. If that's the case, we have 5 laps remaining in this feature race as Urrutia continues to dominate out in front. There he is, 5 laps remaining for the Uruguay driver, and he looks good at the moment to take his first IFMC GP2 victory, and Macamo's 3rd in their career, I believe. The first 2 coming from Louis Razia when they had him last season. As we go through the double right-hander now then on the track, Urrutia hoping to do a good job if he can and hold off and get this victory if he can, as they come up towards Blanchimont now then. Urrutia doing a stunning job out in front of the moment. Rosenqvist continuing to pull away from championship leader Russell, but Russell will still lead, but Rosenqvist will gain a little bit to him in the Drivers' Championship. As a result, Rosenqvist still looking for his first IFMC GP2 victory, and it doesn't look like today is going to be the case, and judging from where he's starting tomorrow, if it stays like this, it looks like he'll have a harder chance of winning the sprint race as well. So it looks like at the moment, as it stands, it'll be 4 weekends in a row where Rosenqvist hasn't been able to get the victory, despite showing the pace that he's got the capacity, he's got the capabilities of winning at the moment. He just hasn't been able, to materialise yet for the Swede, as of course the Swedish driver who has been confirmed as an Eldorado test driver for next season. Coming on the source, the gap between Russell and Palmer, 2.2 seconds between the pair. Then Razia looking to see if he can get onto Lynn, but it looks like that Lynn is too far ahead from Razia, so it looks like Razia may have to settle for 6th place. As meantime, De Vries is now starting to close in onto Ticktum, so Ticktum may need to do a little bit more defending, as these two will now start to fight it out from 7th. Gasly even starting to close in as well, so maybe double trouble from Ticktum to try and get RSPCA Racing's first ever points in IFMC GP2, and well, he's going to have to work hard if he wants to get those points in the bag. Whether it be 2 points or 1 point, Dan has got to really try and get his foot down if he can, as now coming around the daunting Eau Rouge corner now, then down the Kemmel Straight we will go. So we now have 4 laps remaining in this feature race. We're 1 minute away from the 7 o'clock mark, so just over half an hour away from race 1 of IFMC GP3. Through Lacombe now then, goes De Vries as he tries to get a hold of Dan Ticktum in front as they come out of Lacombe. Up towards turn 8 we will go. And then they'll come up towards the corner with No Name, which will be turn 9. Through turn 8 we go. And now up towards the corner with No Name, turn 9. De Vries looking for any weak points Ticktum has in front at this stage. So now they'll come down towards Puon now, then on the track. Through towards the double left-hander on the track, then we go. Using a lot of curb on the outside before approaching turns 12 and 13 now then. So in towards the the right, and then the left-hander we go, and De Vries continuing to close in on the Brit in front as they go through the double right-hander now then. As meantime, Lynn probably still kicking himself in the cockpit after what happened earlier, after that spin down to turn 12. So still possibly kicking himself from that as a result. Meantime, Urrutia's got 3 laps left as he continues to have a big gap in front of Rosenqvist. The gap's now down to 9.6 seconds, so Rosenqvist is lapping quicker than Urrutia in front, but judging from the gap, I think it's too late now for Rosenqvist. He'll have to hope for a mistake from Urrutia in front in order to get his first IFMC GP2 victory instead of Santiago Urrutia. As now coming down the back straight we go, down the Kemmel Straight, and 2nd to 4th keeping each other honest as they come down the straight. Meantime, De Vries still not within slipstream range of Ticktum to pull an overtake on him at this stage as they go up towards the daunting Eau Rouge corner. So through we will go now then, as we will now go up towards Lacombe, and De Vries trying to see if he can try and grab 6th place from Ticktum in the end. Through towards the right, left, and then into the right-hander again, using a lot of curb on the outside. Out of Lacombe we will go, and De Vries still trying everything he can to pile the pressure on Ticktum by the end of the race then, as they go through turn 8 and then down towards the corner with No Name, which will be turn 9. So down the hill we go now then, out the corner, as we are pretty much coming towards the end of the feature race here at Spa-Francorchamps, as we come down towards Puon now then. Through the double left-hander we will go, as they'll now come up towards turns 12 and 13 themselves. And now into the corner now, then we go, flicking the car in. And now through the section of corners on the track. Look like De Vries there, from the sounds of it, had to dip down a gear, it must be said. As now through these corners now, then we go around the right-hander on the track. And it'll be very interesting to see who's been able to get the grips up. And unseen by the cameras, Nato is up into 11th place. He passed Euro, unseen by the cameras. So up into P11 comes Nato as he now starts to close in onto Vips with 2 and a bit laps remaining. Nato looking to see if he can get into the top 10 by the end of the race to ease the pain of what has been so far a tricky weekend for Lightbase Sony Racing. And meantime, Evans still stuck behind Masashita. Masashita doing a good job keeping him back for the moment. Evans continuing to struggle this season, it must be said, along with teammate Luca. As meantime, Goliath starts to close in on Stroll And of course, let's not forget the incident between Russell and Ericsson is under investigation. But as mentioned a little earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if that just was deemed a racing incident, just due to the fact that I don't think you can blame either one of them for that incident, really, to be honest with you. And well, that's that really. Meantime, Urrutia is on his penultimate lap and soon will be starting his final lap very soon, as he's coming up towards the end of Sector 2 very soon now then. As De Vries still not within switching range of Tictum doing a good job keeping the Dutchman back at this stage, and I wonder if he's now started to up the pace of it to the point where he's now been able to sustain that gap between himself and De Vries to the point where he might just have enough to just hold off 7th place from the teenage Dutchman as a result, as they come out of the corner with no name, which is turn number 9. So that's that. Evans still stuck behind Nobuharu Matsushita, and Matsushita also doing a good job keeping him back for the moment. But meantime, here is Santiago Urrutia coming out of the bus stop chicane. He's just coming around the final few corners, and Santiago Urrutia is about to start his final lap here in the feature race. What a race it has been from the Uruguay driver. He started in 2nd place, managed to get the jump on Lynn at the start, his own teammate, and from that point he was just able to get away from the rest of the pack. Well, apart from at one point where Tictum managed to get the lead a little earlier on, but Urrutia was able to get him back before the end of the lap into the bus stop, and from that point he was able to pull away from the rest of the pack, and as a result Santiago Urrutia is looking good to take his first ever IFMC GP2 victory, the first Uruguay driver to win as well in GP2 and in IFMC as a whole. So a lot of the first there for Santiago Urrutia, if he can just keep the nerves intact and pretty much not let them control him and get to the line and win this race. The Red Bull Academy car is looking good to get the double podium finishes. Meantime, it doesn't look like De Vries is close enough, so I think Tictum has done enough to hold off 7th place from De Vries, and I think De Vries has started to back off now to the point where he feels he hasn't got enough pace to get hold of him. Nato, though, can he try and grab Vips before the end of the race? But it looks like there, Vips just able to stay in front. Nato will probably have one more chance if he's got enough pace, maybe at the bus stop chicane, if he is able to keep up with him and close him up within these remaining few miles or meters before the end of the race. So we'll hopefully try and keep an eye on that if we can, once the guys in front of them cross the line. But meantime, here is Santiago Urrutia now then. He's coming up towards the Blanchimont now. There are a lot of people had never heard of this driver before, but all I know is that he was from Indy Lights from last season. I believe he actually was runner-up to Kyle Kaiser from what I understand. I think Kyle Kaiser obviously went on to win that. But either way, Urrutia has done a stunning job. He's coming around the final few corners, and it is going to be Santiago Urrutia who wins the feature race here in Belgium. Congratulations to him and the Panasonic Macamo Racing team. He gets his first ever IFMC GP2 victory, the first Uruguay driver to win as well. Macamo's 3rd victory of the season, and the first Uruguay driver as a whole to win in IFMC. Rosenqvist crosses the line in 2nd. Russell finishes in 3rd. Palmer is going to cross the line in 4th. Lynn still possibly kicking himself in the cockpit. He's going to cross the line in 5th, as he will know that there was a chance for a 1-2 had he had not bottled it at turn 12. Louis Razier is going to cross the line in 6th to pick up his first points of the season after what has been a tricky weekend for him. Dan Tictum is going to pick up his and RSPCA Racing's first points of the season to finish in 7th. De Vries rounds out the points in 8th, so De Vries will start on pole for tomorrow's sprint race. Gasly just missed out in 9th. Yuri Vips is going to just hold off Nato to finish in 10th place. So both RSPCA Racing cars in the top 10. Vips finishes in 10th. Nato crosses the line in 11th. Yura crosses the line in 12th. Ghiotto just has missed out in 13th place. Matsushita pulled away a bit in the end to finish 14th. Evans crosses the line in 15th. Ericsson in 16th place. Stroll crosses the line in 17th. Galileo finishes in 18th. And there you have it then. In the end, Santiago Urrutia dominated this race and takes his first IFMC GP2 victory, a fully deserved victory for the Uruguay driver. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the results of the feature race here at Belgium. Santiago Urrutia won the race with Felix Rosenqvist in 2nd, George Russell 3rd, Jolyon Palmer 4th, Alex Lynn in 5th, Louis Razio in 6th, Dan Ticktum 7th, Nick de Vries in 8th, Pierre Gasly 9th, Yuri Vips 10th, Norman Nato 11th, with Luca 12th, Luca Ghiotto 13th, Nobuharu Masashita 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Mitch Evans in 15th, Joel Eriksson 16th, Lance Stroll 17th, Sean Gallard, the last of the finishers, in 18th. The 4 retirements were Sergey Sirotkin, Lando Norris, Sasha Fenestraz, and Artem Markelov. They were the retirements of the race. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the feature race then, who's going away with the bonus point, and it was Santiago Urrutia with a 1 minute 53.555, so along with the 10 points he gets for victory, he also gets the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. He was 2 tenths quicker than Jolyon Palmer, who finished in 5th place in the end there then. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it for the feature race for GP2. GP2 will be back tomorrow at a later time of 4 PM BST due to the Formula 1 race in 4:30 PM tomorrow due to the F1 race that's happening in Spain. And but there you have it then, guys. That's been it for the feature race. But stick around now, guys, because coming up next is race 1 of IFMC GP3, which sees Joseph Newgarden on pole ahead of Ferdinand Hasberg and Will Power. So if you want to go and grab a quick drink, you can. The GP2 podium is coming your way just after this. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I'll see you guys in just over 20 minutes' time for race 1 of IFMC GP3. Until then, take care and enjoy the podium. See you in just a little bit.